Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory videocast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 40, hosted by SSCL librarian Linda Reimer. This is the Friday, February 5th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. And kicking things off as usual, the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, The Russian by James Patterson and James Bourne, the 13th book in the Michael Bennett series. An assassin killing a number of women might disrupt the detective's wedding plans. At number 2, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, the first book in the Bridgerton series. Daphne Bridgerton's reputation soars when she colludes with the Duke of Hastings, the basis of the Netflix series Bridgerton. At number 3, The Viscount Who Loved Me, also by Julia Quinn, the second book in the Bridgerton series. Kate Sheffield gets in the way of Anthony Bridgerton's intent to marry. At number 4, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The lives of twin sisters who run away from a southern black community at age 16 diverge as one returns and the other takes on a different racial identity, but their fates intertwine. And at number 5, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Nora Seed finds a library beyond the edge of the universe. It contains books with multiple possibilities of the lives one could have lived. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers of the week. At number 1, Just As I Am by Cicely Tyson with Michelle Bruford. The late iconic actress describes how she worked to change perceptions of black women through her career choices. At number 2, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. In the first volume of his presidential memoirs, Barack Obama offers personal reflections on his formative years and pivotal moments through his first term. At number 3, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. The Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist examines aspects of caste systems across civilizations and reveals a rigid hierarchy in America today. At number 4, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. The Academy Award-winning actor shares snippets from the diaries he kept over the last 35 years. And at number 5, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. The activist and public speaker describes her journey of listening to her inner voice. Our first recommended read for this week is a first in the history of this videocast. I don't think I've ever recommended a cookbook before, and there's a reason for that. Linda doesn't like to cook. Actually, I don't like to prepare food in any way, shape, or form. I don't mind eating it, but cooking or preparing it, not my favorite thing. However, this cookbook sounded really good, so I thought I'd recommend it. It's called An African American Cookbook by Phoebe Bailey. Remembering the Underground Railroad through recipes that are rich with history. 400 soul food recipes for appetizers, main meals, breads, pies, cakes, salads, and more. Sounds delicious. An African American cookbook is a bountiful collection of favorite foods and the memories that go with them. The traditional foods reflect the ingenious, resourceful, and imaginative Africans who made them. Woven among the 400 recipes are rich historic anecdotes and sayings. They were discovered or lived by the cookbook's contributors, many of whose ancestors participated in the Underground Railroad or lived near where it was active. This is a cookbook rich in history and rich in easy-to-prepare, wonderfully tasty food. Yeah, it would have to be easy to prepare for Linda to attempt it, but I digress. Recipes in the cookbook include collard greens with ham hocks, cornbread sausage stuffing, smoked turkey and black-eyed peas, pan-fried okra, fried green tomatoes, 14-day sweet pickles, yogurt and chives biscuits, sweet potato pie, and more. Author Phoebe Bailey's congregation in historic Lancaster, Pennsylvania, has a long history with Underground Railroad activity. Today they offer Underground Railroad reenactments and a buffet of traditional African American food to their many visitors. This cookbook celebrates the historic events when this church fed and then helped to spirit enslaved Africans to safety. So if you're looking for something new to eat and you don't mind cooking, check this one out. If you do mind cooking, maybe check this one out anyway and see if you can't get somebody else in your family to make the recipes for you. Moving on to our second recommended read of the week. This one too is nonfiction. It's called Librarian's Tales, written by William Ottens, who, you guessed it, is indeed a librarian. The book is published in cooperation with the American Library Association, and it offers an insider's look at one of the most prevalent, yet commonly misunderstood institutions, the public library. Here is the good, the bad, and the ugly of librarian William Ottens's experience, working behind service desks and in the stacks of public libraries, most recently at the Lawrence Public Library in Kansas. In Librarian Tales, readers will learn about strange things librarians have found in book drops, weird and obscure reference questions, the stress of tax season, phrases your local librarians never want to hear, and stories unique to children's librarians, among many other topics. Ottens uncovers common pet peeves among his colleagues, addresses misguided assumptions and stereotypes, and shares several hilarious stories along the way. This book is a must-read for any librarian or anyone who loves books and libraries, though non-library folks will also laugh and cry from laughing while reading this lighthearted analysis of your local community pillar, the public library. And indeed, that's the second recommended read of the week. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week, and I'm going to recommend both a specific title and a series, and it is indeed the Harry Potter series. And I'm sure there's somebody out there thinking, well, why is she recommending that? It's not new, and isn't it really just for kids? Well, I've got two reasons for recommending this title and this series, and the first has a little story to go along with it. Earlier this week, I was updating a curated collection for the digital catalog that contains the 25 most popular children's titles for the last month. That is, the 25 titles that have been circulating the most and have had the most holds placed on them. And all the Harry Potter audiobooks were there, and all of the titles had holds on them. So I thought to myself, people don't know about Hoopla. So that's my first reason for recommending this particular audiobook and this audiobook series, is to let people know that if you have a Corning library card, aka a Southeast Steuben County library card, you can use the Hoopla app to check out all the audiobooks in the Harry Potter series instantly, whenever you're ready. Now, you do have a limit of 6 items you could check out per card per month from the Hoopla catalog, but as the later books in the Harry Potter series are all quite long, I'm kind of thinking that nobody's going to get through listening to all the audiobooks in the Harry Potter series in 1 month. But you can check them all out instantly through the Hoopla catalog. So that's the first reason I'm recommending Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and the Harry Potter series in general on audiobook form. The second is because, honestly, I love it. And I would argue that it really isn't just for kids. The characters are fully fleshed. It's a lovely, almost lyrical fantasy world that J.K. Rowling has created in the Harry Potter universe. And if you're hanging out at home and you've got more time than usual on your hands and you want something that's both interesting and heartwarming, I mean, there are some downs as well as ups in the series, but I urge you to check it out. Jim Dale does an excellent job at narrating the series, and he does narrate all the books in the series for the American audience. So having said all of that, let me tell you just a little about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, written by J.K. Rowling and read by Jim Dale. Welcome to the Night Bus, emergency transport for the stranded witch or wizard. Just stick out your wand hand, step on board, and we can take you anywhere you want to go. When the night bus crashes through the darkness and screeches to a halt right in front of him, it's the start of another far from ordinary year at Hogwarts for Harry Potter. Sirius Black, escaped mass murderer and follower of Lord Voldemort, is on the run, and they say he is coming after Harry. Meanwhile, in his first ever divination class, Professor Trelawney sees an omen of death in Harry's tea leaves. But perhaps, most terrifying of all, are the Dementors patrolling the school grounds with their soul-sucking kiss. And just FYI, this book, if you're not familiar with it, is the third book in the Harry Potter series. And although I love the entire series, this is my favorite. So that's our first recommended audiobook for this week. Our second recommended audiobook for this week is like a 360-degree turn because this is a suspense thriller novel. It's the new Michael Ledwidge. It's called Run for Cover, and it's read by Niall Helgers. The next installment in the pulse-pounding Ganon series, featuring murder, intrigue, and a deadly new mystery that may just be his last. From a lethal entanglement from some of the deepest and darkest players in the global intelligence services, Michael Ganon heads to the safest place he can think of, deep in the wilds of Utah, on the ranch of one of his oldest and closest war buddies. But when his friend's brother is found dead in the rocky foothills of Grand Teton, Ganon realizes that there are some things more important than keeping your head down. Is his death just one in a string of grisly murders mysteriously occurring around national parks, or is it a part of something even more sinister? Flushed from cover, Ganon soon finds himself teamed up with a tenacious female FBI agent and on the trail of a dangerous mystery, with a head-on collision course ahead with a ruthless killer whose skills at war are as deadly as they come. And that's our second recommended listen of the week. Moving on to our streaming recommendations for this week, Our first recommendation is the classic film North by Northwest from 1959. Everyone has their own favorite Hitchcock, but it's undeniable that this Cary Grant-led Wrong Man caper is one of the greats. Grant is Roger Thornhill, a mild-mannered ad exec who gets mistaken for a government agent by a group of foreign spies and finds himself mired in intrigue. James Mason stars as genteel villain Philip Van Damme, and Eva Marie Saint is iconic as Eve Kendall, the femme fatale whose loyalties are constantly in question. The film features some of Alfred Hitchcock's best set pieces, from Grant and Saint's witty train banter, to the crop-dusting sequence, to the thrilling finale on Mount Rushmore. It's a suspenseful travelogue that will make you feel a little less terrible about being stuck at home. And that's the Entertainment Weekly Review. Our second streaming recommendation for this week is also a classic. It's The Philadelphia Story from 1940. Romantic comedy doesn't get much better than this sparkling gem, starring Katharine Hepburn in the mother of all love triangles, or really, it's more like a rhombus. Hepburn is capricious, proud Tracy Lord, a socialite engaged to be married, who finds her nuptials and her life upended when her ex-husband, C.K. Dexter Haven, played by Cary Grant, shows up with reporter Macaulay Mike Connor, played by Jimmy Stewart, in tow. Tracy gets all mixed up with the two of them and realizes she just wants everyone to see her as the real human being she is, rather than put her on a pedestal. It's divinely comedic, so much so that Stewart won an Oscar, and the height of old-world Hollywood elegance. And again, that's the Entertainment Weekly Review of the film. Our third and final streaming recommendation for this week is also a classic, but a little more recent classic. This is the 1989 film, When Harry Met Sally. This is the gold standard when it comes to rom-coms, with its briskly written script that follows Harry, played by Billy Crystal, and Sally, played by Meg Ryan, as they move from enemies to friends to lovers. With a script by Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner's sterling direction, the film is a quintessential look at relationships, love, and the idiosyncrasies of human beings. Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby also star as Harry and Sally's friends, who just happen to be perfect for each other. If you've never seen it, you'll fall in love, and if you have, just try not to quote all of your favorite lines along with it as you watch. It's a movie that never fails to make us want the rest of our lives to start as soon as possible. And again, that's the Entertainment Weekly Review of the classic film When Harry Met Sally. And moving on to a hoopla recommendation for this week, I'm going to recommend the TV series Walking Through History. 3 seasons of the series are available through Hoopla. It's hosted by Tony Robinson, who is probably best known, on this side of the pond anyway, as being the host of the archaeology series Time Team. And I would argue that the co-hosts of that series would be the archaeologists that did the digs, who were so wonderful. Anyway, Time Team is a great series too. There's 20 years of that, but that's not available in the Hoopla catalog. So I'm recommending the series Walking Through History, and here's a little about it. In a series that will appeal to history buffs and dedicated ramblers alike, Tony Robinson embarks on spectacular walks through some of Britain's most historic landscapes in search of the richest stories from Britain's past. In each program, Tony follows a route that allows him to explore on foot both the history of a particularly colorful historical period or event and the spectacular landscape, including its geographical features, in which those events unfolded. These walks are proper expeditions, with each one taking Tony a week. Along with the various experts he encounters, Tony reveals and discovers the places and their hidden stories that ordinary walkers and ramblers might otherwise miss. So again, the recommendation is for the series Walking Through History. And moving on to our Odd Duck recommendation of the week, I'm going to recommend that you check out the new memoir by Cicely Tyson and also a couple of her performances. Her memoir just came out on January 26th, and of course she has also just passed at the age of 96, but she was a very empowering actress, and I never saw a thing that she was in that she wasn't just marvelous in. So the book is called Just As I Am. You can request that from the library. And then I'm going to give you 5 streaming recommendations from her long career. First streaming recommendation is the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman from 1974. It's a critically acclaimed TV movie that chronicles the life of Jane Pittman, portrayed by Cicely Tyson. She's a 110-year-old woman who lived through and witnessed events from the Civil War era to the Civil Rights era. Recommendation number 2 is Roots from 1977, and Cicely Tyson's performance in Roots was brief but memorable. She portrayed Binta, Kunta Kinte's mother, in the first episode of the landmark series, and you see her here in the photo with Maya Angelou. Sounder from 1972. Sounder is set in Louisiana during the Great Depression, and Rebecca, Cicely Tyson, must save her family from destitution and starvation after her husband, Paul Winfield, is arrested and sent to jail for stealing food. Saturday Night Live from 1979. Tyson was the first black woman to host Saturday Night Live back in 1979, and she showed that she had solid comedic skills to match her outstanding drama skills. The Trip to Bountiful. Reprising the role she played on Broadway, Tyson portrays Mother Carrie Watts, a senior who is forbidden by her son to travel to her home alone. A strong-willed woman, she goes anyway, by bus. Have questions about this weekly videocast? Let me know. Send an email to me at reimerl@stls.org and I'll get back to you. Again, that's reimerl@stls.org. And you can also call the library. Currently, library hours are Mondays and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we're closed to the public on Wednesdays and Sundays, although Wednesday is a day for students to come to the library, and they have to arrange that through their teachers. And that is the end of Library Connections for this week. What follows are a few informational tidbits. The tidbits include directions as to where you can connect with the library online via our website, catalogs, blogs, and social media pages. Links to articles used to create this week's video, otherwise known as references, and the library's contact information. First off, the library's website, found at ssclibrary.org. From our website, you can look at our calendar of events. Most events are virtual right now, but you can check them out. You can access the web versions of our catalogs, make an appointment for curbside pickup or to use a computer, and much more. The library's appointments page is found on the library's website. You can find the purple Make Appointment text near the top of any page on our website, and by clicking that link you can make an appointment to get curbside pickup or use a computer. StarCat and the related BookMine app. StarCat is a catalog of physical library materials, so if you want to request a large print book or a DVD, you can go online to starcat.stls.org, or you can download the BookMine app to your mobile device. The digital catalog with its companion apps Libby and Overdrive. You can check out eBooks and audiobooks, and this is for all cardholders from all libraries in the Southern Tier library system. So that's everybody that has a public library card in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can go to stls.overdrive.com or download the Libby or Overdrive app to your mobile device. The Libby app is for newer devices. The Overdrive app is for older devices and Kindle tablets. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features eBooks, comic books, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both television shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for Southeast Steuben County Library cardholders to instantly check out. Because this is what in Libraryland is called a paid for circ model, that is, every time a patron checks out something from the Hoopla catalog, our library has to pay for it. You do have a cap of 6 items per month. But anything you see in the Hoopla catalog, there are no holds. You can check it out immediately. You can either use the hoopladigital.com website that you see on the left side of the page, or download the Hoopla app to your mobile device or smart TV. The library has 5 blogs which have some great content. There's the Book Club for Adults, which just basically gives you info on the monthly book club meetings for adults. The local history blog, Corning NY History, Creation Stationery, the companion blog to the library's makerspace, Story Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, and Tech and Book Talk, which is mostly readers and viewers advisory and a little bit of FYI how-to tips on personal technology. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or want to make an appointment for curbside pickup or to use a computer, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's phone number is area code 607-936-3713, and again that's area code 607-936-3713. Social media. You can connect with the library, read library news such as closings due to weather, and pose questions to the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In relation, each video in this series is available on demand via the library's YouTube channel after it has first been shown on Facebook Live, and every Monday I put the last week's video of this series on the Tech Talk blog, so you'll also find it there. And our brief reference list for this week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with another edition of Library Connections. Stay safe and be well.